Alright, what's up, guys? We have today another new Blue Eyes deck profile. We have multiple things that have happened in the world of Yu-Gi-Oh! One thing being Super Rejuvenation coming off the ban list, but that's to a certain degree old news. That's about a week old. But we have Chaos Impact coming out. We had the sneak peek this weekend, and there are some cards that greatly benefit Blue Eyes, so we're going to talk about those. Some of them are going to be experimental cards that I'll show you throughout the deck profile, but definitely Blue Eyes has received a boost for sure. So let's get started. First off, we're playing 3 copies of Blue Eyes White Dragon. Play your favorite artworks, whatever you like. These are the ones that I like, but you can play whatever artworks you like. So I play 3 copies of the regular Blue Eyes White Dragon. I play 3 copies of Alternative Eyes, Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon. Again, a very good extender within the archetype, searchable. 1 Spirit. I play Spirit just to banish back row, but more importantly, it's you can recycle it over and over and over, and basically be popping cards every turn. Like every turn, you can be banishing a spell or trap card. So it's not important. It's not entirely important to play more than 1 because you have so many ways to revive this, get it in the graveyard. You don't need to play more than 1. Play 3 copies of the White Stone of Ancients. This is another terrific card, just because, yeah, first of all, you have the end phase effect to special summon, which is still a very good effect. Blue Eyes is always a going second deck. The only time it ever went first was when you could easily summon an Morphage Goliath, but you really can't do that anymore. So still, this is a very good card. Summons a Blue Eyes during the end phase, or you can banish it from the graveyard and then bounce a Blue Eyes back to your own hand, which is a more useful effect than most people know. We've got 2 copies of the White Stone of Legend, another one I love, because we're playing the Super Rejuvenation. We want to get as many resources in hand as possible so we can discard more dragons, we contribute more dragons, and this card is like always a +1, just because, like, let's say you send it to the graveyard, you link it away. If you link this card away, you get a free Blue Eyes. If you tribute this card for any reason, you get a free Blue Eyes. Like, it'll turn cards, like, for example, Cards of Consonance, which is usually an even trade. Like, you give up the Cards of Consonance and you give up this card to draw 2 cards. So you give up 2 cards to draw 2 cards. But what I love about this card is that it'll get you that extra card. It'll turn a lot of cards that should be either neutral or a -1 into a +1 or neutral, which is really, really good. That's why I really, really like this card. And a lot of people cut it down to 1. Me personally, I like it at 2. Sometimes, depending on the build, like if I was playing Guard Dragon Blue Eyes, I would even be playing this card at 3. Next, we're playing 1 copy of Sage with Eyes of Blue. This is another one I used to play at 3. So I don't, this card is good, but because of, I think the new cards that have just come out have actually eclipsed it, and that's what's important. This card is still good because it can send this itself and a card, effect monster on the field to the graveyard, summon a Blue Eyes from the deck, or if you normal summon it, you can search a stone, or you can search Sage, which is still pretty cool. But it is a hard once per turn, and the way I see playing Blue Eyes best now is just to play a bunch of random, like one-of hard once per turn cards so that you never brick. But again, we'll get to that later. Play 2 copies of Danger Bigfoot because, again, going second deck, more or less. Most of the time, Blue Eyes is a going second deck. But what's great about this card, it gives you a free level 8 body. It discards dragons to the graveyard, so when you activate Super Rejuvenation, you can draw a ton of cards, which is terrific. And then on top of it, you can pop face-up cards, like if this gets picked, for example, if this gets discarded. You can, like, trade in. You can activate trade-in, for example, which is another, like, cool situation. You activate trade-in, you give up the trade-in in this card, and you draw 2 cards, and you pop one of your opponent's cards. So it's like a -1 for your opponent. Cool thing there. Now we play some of the newer cards and sort of the Chaos Dragons. Play 2 copies of Chaos Dragon Levianeer. If you don't know what this does, basically you banish 3 lights or darks from your graveyard. If it's all 3 of them are lights, you get to summon a monster from the graveyard, which is awesome. Summon like a Blue Eyes, and then you can go into an easy rank 8. If you do only darks, which is really kind of a difficult thing to do in this deck, it is possible, but it's sort of difficult to do. If it's only darks, you shuffle 1 random card from your opponent's hand into the deck, and if it's both lights and darks, you can pop 2 cards on the field, non-targeting. Crazy. So for the newer cards, we play one copy of starliege seyfert. This card I really might bump up to 2 and maybe 3. This card's very good. It is a hard once per turn, but here's the effect. Basically, this is an ignition effect you activate on, not on summon, but like once the card is face up on the field. So you have to successfully normal summon it and then do this following effect. You can send any number of dragons from your hand or face up on the field to the graveyard and add one dragon from your deck to your hand with whose levels equals the total levels of those monsters sent to the graveyard. So basically, you summon this, and then like let's say for example you have like a blue eyes in hand, and you really need alternative eyes. You can just send the blue eyes, add the alternative. You can also do something like send Whitestone of Ancients to trigger that effect in order to search the Whitestone of wherever it is, Legends. I don't know where. There it is. Or you can, for example, send a blue eyes and then add a Chaos Dragon Levianeer. So in that regard, it's like kind of crazy, like what you can do. It like basically like searches out the entire deck. It's almost like I don't want to say transmodify, but like it can like you give up a card, but at the same time you're getting you're getting almost anything back, which is kind of crazy. But what I like a really cool combo with this is like, let's say you have a blue eyes white dragon in hand, and this you can normal summon this card and then activate this effect, send blue eyes to the graveyard, and then add alternative eyes to the hand, and then you link this guy off for whatever you, let's say you had another dragon, you link this guy off for like the Heradic Heavenly Spheres or something, you link this off, and then its graveyard effect you can activate. You can banish this from the graveyard immediately. You can use both effects in one turn, banish this, get this back to your hand, reveal, and special summon Blue Eyes Alternative Dragon. Like it has so much synergy because it lets you bounce level 8s back to your hand. The only kind of drawback to this card is it's a bit expensive for now, but it'll go down. It's Yu-Gi-Oh! It'll go down once more people pull it. But yeah, that effect is kind of crazy too, because like let's say you even discard it off a danger or something like that, you can just banish out of the graveyard and get a free +1. Get a free card back. Next we play one copy of Nebula Dragon. Again, these are the kind of one-ofs. They're experimental at this point. Might bump up some of them, might drop some of them. We'll see. This card you can reveal. This card and one other level 8 monster in your hand. Special summon both in defense position, negate their effects. Also, you can normal special summon monsters for the rest of the turns except light and dark dragons, which is basically not a restriction because our entire extra deck and our entire main deck is all light and dark, like cards, and then a lot of them are dragons, so it doesn't even matter. Our end board, a lot of the time, it's light and dark dragons anyway, so it doesn't matter. The only card that isn't a light or dark dragon are the hand traps we play in Sage. Like everything else, it doesn't even matter. And by the way, that effect is for the rest of the turn. For the rest of the turn. So you can still normal summon Sage and then special summon this thing and then do whatever you gotta do, you know? So it doesn't matter. So that's effect number 1. And then you can banish this card from the graveyard, target a level 4 light or dark dragon in your graveyard, and add it to your hand. The only target we have in the whole deck is the Starliege Seraph, but we only play it at 1. That effect you probably won't be able to use, but that first effect is really good because it's like 2 free summons, which is awesome. Then we play this card, which is the Galactic Spiral Dragon. This card is so awesome. It's almost like a Dragon Ruler. It's so awesome. So this card, I play it too, only because you can use trade-in, get it in the graveyard, and then still get its effect for free. It's like stupid. Alright, so this effect is basically, while this card's in your hand or graveyard, if you control 2 or more light or dark dragon monsters, which is almost always going to happen. Like it's always going to happen. You can special summon... you can special summon this card in defense position, but banish it when it leaves the field, whatever. And then during your main phase, you can make all monsters you currently control level 8 until the end of this turn, and that doesn't have to be all dragons. So that is just insane. This lets you do so many like rank 8 plays. It's like let's say you have like 2 dragons, you can special summon this for free, and then even if you have like stones and stuff, you can use them to link. You can use the stones to link summon in to XYZ summon into rank 8s, which is insane. And then you detach and you get bonus effects. Like you can detach and then search a blue eyes. Next we play 3 copies of Effect Veiler. It's a searchable hand trap in the deck, in addition to just being one of the better ones. Next, we play 3 copies of Ghost Ogre. A bit of synergy with the deck again. Or, I'm sorry, 2 copies of Ghost Ogre. Has a lot of synergy with the deck. It is a light, in addition to being a tuner, although you can't really summon it into anything unless, I mean, maybe with the Star Siege, but that's about it. But yeah, these are the 5 hand traps we play. We play hand traps because we draw them off of the Super Rejuvenation. It's very beneficial because you draw during the end phase with Super Rejuvenation, so you want to draw into hand traps so you can interrupt your opponent's turn. It gives Blue Eyes a lot more versatility going first or second. Alright, for these spell cards, we play 3 copies of Super Rejuvenation. This card is one of the most broken cards in all of Yu-Gi-Oh!, but unfortunately it can only be used in a certain amount of decks, and this is one of them. There are very few decks that can utilize this card well, but Blue Eyes can certainly do that. During the end phase, you draw cards equal to the amount of dragons that you either tributed or discarded during that turn, and it's for every individual card, and the card is not once per turn, so you can activate 2 of them, and it's a quick play, so you can use it during your opponent's turn. It's a really unbelievable card in that regard. But it basically turns Blue Eyes into like Sky Strikers, because you can either go first or second, discard a bunch of cards throughout your turn, and then activate Super Rejuvenation in the end phase, draw like 3, 4, 5 cards, a lot of which are going to be hand traps, and it's very difficult for your opponent to play around that sort of thing, because you just gain so much advantage. You put up negates, you put up interruptions, you summon like Heretic Heavenly Spheres, you summon stuff like, what's his name? The XYZ that negates spells. You can summon like Photon Lord, you can summon the Hope Harbinger Dragon, like a few negates, a few interruptions, and then maybe a Link Karibo, and then you draw 5 cards, for example, during end phase, and 2 of them are hand traps. It's like, how's your opponent supposed to play around that? Then we play 3 copies of Trade-In. Everybody knows what that does. 2 copies of Cards of Consonance. Another terrific card. 3 copies of Melody, which searches mostly the alternative, the regular Blue Eyes, and it searches Chaos Dragon and Levianeer. Fortunately, it does not search the new cards. Next, we play 3 copies of Return of the Dragonlords. Not only does this card give you protection, but it also lets you return a monster or special summon a level 7 or 8 dragon monster. It does a lot. Play 1 Monster Reborn, just the generic recursion card. This is a new card, playing Tyrant Farm. Just came out again in the Chaos Impact. It has a lot of great synergy with this again. You tribute 1 effect monster, which is usually going to be your stone, and then you special summon 1 non-effect monster with the same original type or attribute from your graveyard. So this card has like a lot of synergy throughout like different cards, because you can like let's say you have this card, you can use it with starliege Seraph. Like, for example, you can summon this, activate its effect, discard Blue Eyes to search another level 8, and then you can activate this to tribute this card, and then search out and then special summon a Blue Eyes from your deck, and then or from your graveyard. The Blue Eyes you just sent to the graveyard, you can special summon back immediately, and then you can banish this and then like add back another one. So it has a lot of really cool synergy. You can also use it with the stones and stuff. But definitely, it's an interesting card to consider. It's something I'm trying out. It might end up being, I might not end up not using it, but it's something I'm considering at the moment for sure. But yeah, that's the Tyrant Farm. And then our last 2 spells are 2 copies of Dragon's Mirror. We have a few Blue Eyes monsters that we summon from the extra deck. You just basically just banish dragons from your graveyard or Blue Eyes monsters, and it's really good for that. But alright, let's move on to the extra deck. We play 1 copy of Link Karibo, 1 copy of Heretic Seal of Heavenly Spheres. This is a new one, Heretic Sun Dragon Overload Heliopolis. Basically 2 level 8 monsters. Like anything else, it's a light, so we don't get locked out of using this, even though this really looks like it should be a fire. And then this card effect is like nuts. Once per turn, you can detach 1 XYZ material from this card, tribute any number of monsters from your hand or side of the field, and then destroy an equal number of cards on the field. Doesn't target. You can pop as many cards as you want as long as you have enough cards to tribute. And on top of that, this card actually does trigger Super Rejuvenation. So if you like tribute 3 dragons in your hand, you activate Super Rejuvenation, you're drawing 3 cards at the end of the turn. So not only are you popping, non-targeting, you also are drawing at the end phase. And of course, as you know, with Blue Eyes, you get a bunch of effects in graveyard anyway. A lot of them are going to refill your resources, so you know this card can make you go +6, +7 in combination with Super Rejuvenation and all of the other just Blue Eyes cards. Play 1 Galaxy Cipher Blade Dragon, 1 Galaxy Cipher Dragon, just a regular one, 1 Photon Lord to negate monster effects, 1 Hope Harbinger to negate spells and to block attacks, 1 Michael the Archangel Lightsworn, banish a card. You pay 1,000 to banish a card. 1 Black Rose Moonlight Dragon, 1 Azure Eyes Silver Dragon, and then 2 Spirit Dragons, which are the 2 cards you need to summon all of the other synchros that I just showed you. Except for this one, you can summon it just regularly. And then for the fusions, we play 1 Neo Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon. Just sometimes you just draw. You're in a grind game. You draw the Dragon Smear, and this is the only card on your field. Sometimes this is the best option because you can attack a lot of times, and then you can send others to the graveyard. It's good for that. 1 Blue Eyes Twin Burst. I like Twin Burst. I've always liked Twin Burst. I think it's a really good card. It's a really cool contact fusion. I don't think it's a lot of commitment. It can out a lot of things that can't be targeted, can't be destroyed, because it can attack twice, and if it loses both battles, it just banishes during the end of the battle, non-targeting. So I like this card quite a bit. And then for the last card, the Blue Eyes Alternative Ultimate Dragon, which is a great OTK card. But anyway, this deck can certainly OTK, could certainly compete a lot better than it did before. I'm very excited about what this deck might do in the meta, and thank you for watching.